Hello, this is part 6 of the bowling animation series. Last video we left off with rolling the bowling ball. Here's a sample of how mine turned out. Now let's animate a pin. First off, look in your timeline and pull your scrub bar along until you find the place where your ball stops. For mine, it's frame 96. Now you may not have rolled your ball towards the middle. Perhaps yours is more to the left or the right. And so the first pin that you move may not be exactly what the first pin is that I'm going to move. Regardless, the process is the same for all of them. So I'll be working with pin 1. I've zoomed in pretty close now, and you'll want to do the same. You're going to want to see your pin path really well, and you'll have much better control over your pin if it's closer to you. I'm also going to zoom all the way in on the timeline, which I don't normally do, but the dots will be very large, and you might want to do this as well because you may be moving these dots around quite a bit for this process, and it will be very easy for you to grab them. Zooming in all the way, and I will have to use my horizontal scroll to situate this here. I'm still at frame 96, but I want to go a few frames to the right. I'll go to 99. In the Layers palette, I need to locate my pin bone folder here and click on the arrow to open that up so I can see all my pins. And click on pin 1, that's the one I'll be animating. Like I said, you may be starting with a different pin. First, click on Transform Layer in the Tools, and then in the main menu, click on Animation and Add Keyframe. So we need to set up this series of keyframes so that nothing is going to happen with this pin from this point backwards to the beginning of the animation. Pins fall very fast once a ball hits them, so you won't need much time here at all. A half a second, maybe less, maybe slightly more. You'll be doing a combination of rotating and moving the pin over the period of, say, a dozen frames or so. There isn't one way to do every pin. Each pin that you make fall is going to fall a little bit differently. So follow along with this process and you'll start to get an idea about how this works. I'll move a couple of frames to the right in the timeline, and with Transform Layer selected, I'm going to move my pin up a little bit. I'll move a couple more frames and move the pin over, and then start to rotate it. And remember, you had to set your origin point at the base of your pins or else this won't work. You'll have to go back and go to frame 0 and get the origin point set up. I'll move a couple more frames on the timeline, move my pin a little bit more, rotate a little bit more, a couple of more frames, moving again, rotating some more, and then maybe I'll stop there and kind of flatten it out like it has fallen and test it. So that was very fast, as it should be. It could have been slightly slower, that would have been fine too, but you definitely don't want them to fall too slow unless it's a pin that you want to show rocking back and forth before it falls, and that would be great. And if you remember back when you did the dancing star, we had the dancing star rock, and so you could refer to that in terms of going about making a pin rock before it falls. Another thing that's kind of helpful with the fast motion of these pins falling, if I go down here in the timeline and select all these keyframes here, and then right mouse button click, it opens up a menu. By default, everything is set at smooth for motion. If you choose linear, the motion will be more harsh. Now, you wouldn't generally choose linear for a whole bunch of keyframes like this if you were animating something more slowly over time, because then you would lose a nice curve on your arc, for example. But because a pin falling is supposed to be pretty harsh and abrupt, it actually looks better changing that setting to linear from smooth. It may take you a few tries to get your pin to fall correctly or the way you want it to. You may want to experiment and try different ways that the pin can fall. So remember that you can always select all the keyframes and just push delete on your keyboard and start over. This will be all that's required for the rough draft, but you won't be handing in a rendered MP4 animation. You need to check the assignment instructions to see how to put together the package of the project and upload that to me. And once you've submitted those materials, you'll want to keep an eye on your email so that you can see what comments I made on your rough draft. And you'll want to see those before you continue on to next week's tutorials for completing this project. So that's it. And if you're having any difficulties, please email me right away.